What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we've got absolutely massive breaking news shaking up the entire sports world, and I mean franchise-changing, NFL-shifting, history-making type of news. Deion "Primetime" Sanders has officially been named the new head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, you heard that right. The man, the myth, the legend, Prime himself is now running America's team. So in this video, we're going to break down exactly what this means for the Cowboys, for the NFL, for players, for the fan base, and honestly for the entire culture of football. We're diving into how we got here, what this move says about Jerry Jones, what it means for Dak Prescott and the rest of the roster, what kind of staff Deion might bring, how his coaching style fits in the NFL, and whether this is a genius gamble or a desperation move. So stay locked in, because this story is wild from every angle. First, let's just sit with the headline for a second. Deion Sanders, the Pro Football Hall of Famer, former Dallas Cowboys superstar, the original Primetime, the man who helped define swagger in the NFL, is now the head coach of the franchise he once won a Super Bowl with. It almost sounds like a Madden fantasy scenario, but it's real. The Cowboys didn't just go out and hire a safe, recycled, proven NFL coordinator. They went for the biggest personality in football, a guy who's been dominating headlines at the college level and turning every program he touches into a national storyline. You could feel something like this coming eventually, but to see it actually happen with the Cowboys of all teams feels absolutely surreal. Let's talk about how we got here. The Cowboys have been in a weird spot for years. Super talented rosters, big expectations, sky-high ratings, but constant playoff disappointment. Every season it's the same narrative. Is this the year? Followed by an early exit and a whole lot of finger-pointing. Ownership has been under pressure, the fan base has been frustrated. Analysts have been calling the Cowboys the most talented underachievers in football. So behind the scenes, you know Jerry Jones has been stewing on this. How do I shake the whole thing up? How do I get this team from good to special? And if there is one thing Jerry loves as much as winning, it's star power. He loves attention, he loves big names, he loves the Cowboys being the center of the sports universe. So hiring Deion Sanders checks every box. It's not just a coaching hire, it's a statement. It's Jerry basically saying, we're not playing small anymore. We're going all in on culture, on energy, on brand, on belief. Now, think about Deion's journey here. After his legendary NFL career, he could have just chilled, done TV, collected checks, and lived the retired superstar life. But he chose to coach. He went to Jackson State, and didn't just coach, he transformed the entire conversation around HBCU football. He brought in recruits no one thought would even consider that level, shined a spotlight on facilities, on exposure, on opportunities. Then he made the jump to Colorado, took over a program that was basically lifeless, and on day one, turned it into the most talked-about team in the country. Every game was an event, sidelines full of celebrities, players in designer shades, cameras everywhere. Whether you loved him or hated him, you paid attention. That's Prime. He made 1-11 Colorado into a national topic overnight, and even when the record cooled off later in the season, the impact on recruiting, brand, and energy was undeniable. So when an NFL team like the Cowboys looks at that, they're not just seeing a college coach, they see a CEO of culture. They see a recruiter, a motivator, a face of the franchise. They see a guy players want to play for, a guy the media wants to cover, a guy who can walk into any living room, any locker room, and get instant respect because he's done it all at the highest level. This is not your typical transition from college to NFL where a schematics nerd gets promoted. This is a legendary former player with charisma, a history with the team, and recent success as a program builder. Now, let's be real. This is a risky move. The NFL is not college. Grown men with big contracts, agents, egos, it's a different game. College coaching is about recruiting, building systems, motivating young players, and selling vision. The NFL is about scheme, adjustments, game management, film, and dealing with parity every single week. We've seen big-name college coaches jump to the league and struggle badly. So the obvious question is, can Deion's style translate? Will his energy and confidence work with NFL veterans, or will it clash? That's what makes this hire so fascinating. Because Deion is not just a motivator, he's a former NFL star who understands that league inside and out. He knows what it takes to last. He knows the grind of film, practice, rehab, game plans. He knows what superstar players need, and he knows what role players go through. That experience is something a lot of college coaches simply don't have. Another huge piece is his relationship with ownership in the front office. Deion and Jerry Jones already have a history. Jerry brought Deion to Dallas back in the 90s, in one of the boldest free agency moves the league had seen at the time. Deion repaid that by bringing electricity and a championship to the Cowboys. There's trust there, there's mutual respect, and now Jerry is bringing him back not as a player, but basically as a partner in shaping the future of the franchise. You can bet this wasn't a quick decision. There were conversations about power, about control over the locker room, about how much say Deion will have in personnel, draft picks, free agency. If you know Prime, you know he's not signing up to be a puppet. He's not here just to clap on the sideline and read off a play sheet someone else built. He's here to build something in his image. So let's talk about that image. What does a Deion Sanders Cowboys team look like? First thing, swagger. Expect the Cowboys to be loud, confident, and unapologetically themselves. You're going to see intensity in practice, public accountability, and a ton of energy. Deion is big on competition. At Colorado, he made it clear. He was bringing in his guys, and every position had to be earned. You can bet training camp for the Cowboys is going to feel different. Star players who may have been comfortable are going to feel the heat. Depth guys are going to get a chance to prove themselves. The entire building will feel like it's under a bright spotlight, because it will be. Cameras, documentaries, content teams, the Cowboys were already a content machine with Hard Knocks, All or Nothing, and constant media attention. Add Deion to that, and it becomes must-see TV every single week. From a football standpoint, one of the most interesting questions will be the staff he builds. Deion's strength is leadership, motivation, recruiting, vision. He's not selling himself as the guy drawing up every blitz and every route concept. So who does he bring in as offensive and defensive coordinators? Does he keep any of the current Cowboys staff? Does he bring someone from his college staff up to the NFL? Does he reach out to veteran NFL minds to balance his style with pro-level X's and O's? That mix is going to be crucial. If he nails those coordinator hires, this could absolutely work. If he whiffs, the criticism is going to be brutal and quick. Expect names from both college and NFL circles to start popping up right away. And you know big-time assistants are going to want to attach their name to this experiment, because if it works, it is career-defining. Now let's bring it down to the players, starting with the most important position, quarterback. Dak Prescott is now officially in the no more excuses era. You cannot have Deion Sanders as your head coach, surrounded by this level of hype and expectation, and then put up another first-round playoff exit and think everything is okay. This is going to be the defining stretch of Dak's career. Either he rises with this new culture and cements himself as the guy, or the Cowboys start looking at the future very quickly. Deion is not afraid to make bold moves. If he feels like the quarterback play is holding the team back, he will say it, he will act on it, and he will not sugarcoat it. At Colorado and Jackson State, we saw him rebuild rosters aggressively. In the NFL it's different, but the principle is the same. Performance over politics. For Dak, this is go time. Beyond Dak, think about what this means for the defensive side of the ball, especially the secondary. This is Deion Sanders, arguably the greatest cornerback to ever play the game. If you're a defensive back on the Cowboys right now, this is like being a young basketball player and getting coached by Michael Jordan. The expectations are going through the roof. Technique, discipline, film study, swagger, Deion is going to demand all of it. Corners and safeties are going to be under a microscope, and if you respond, your career could skyrocket. Just imagine being a young corner getting hands-on coaching, mindset talks, and standards set by Prime himself. You're going to see that unit playing aggressive, confident football. Receivers are going to know they're in for a battle. Then there's the locker room culture as a whole. Deion is big on messaging. We comin'. We ain't hard to find. All those slogans that become bigger than just words. He's going to bring a language, a mindset, a set of expectations that players repeat, buy into, and carry onto the field. Some vets might love it, some might clash with it. But one thing is for sure, there will be no confusion about who's in charge or what the standard is. If you're not about the work, the accountability, the energy, this probably won't be the place for you. That level of clarity can be powerful for a franchise that has sometimes felt unfocused in big moments. From the fan perspective, this is a dream and a roller coaster wrapped into one. Cowboys fans have spent years watching the team fall short with safe hires and traditional approaches. Now, they've got the biggest personality in coaching. Every national show is going to be talking Cowboys. Every game will feel like a prime-time event, no matter the time slot. The stadium is going to be electric. Jerseys, merch, Prime-themed Cowboys gear, it's going to explode. But with that comes pressure. The honeymoon is going to be loud, but short. At some point the question becomes, can you win? Can you get to the NFC Championship? Can you get back to the Super Bowl? Deion knows this. He's not shy about expectations. If anything, he raises them. So buckle up, because the patience level in Dallas is never long, and with Prime in town, it will be even shorter. Let's zoom out to the rest of the NFL for a second. This move sends shockwaves through the entire league. Other owners are watching. Other teams are watching. The idea of hiring a brand as much as a coach is now real at the NFL level. If this works, you're going to see more franchises willing to take swings on big personalities, former players with charisma, guys who aren't the typical coordinator to coach pipeline products. You're going to see more creative approaches to leadership. If it fails badly, you might see the opposite. Teams retreating back to safe hires and pointing at this as the cautionary tale. Either way, the Deion to Dallas experiment is going to be a case study. There's also a huge cultural and symbolic layer to this. Deion Sanders, a Black Hall of Famer who broke into college coaching through the HBCU route, is now head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, one of the most visible, valuable franchises in all of sports. That's not nothing. That's representation on the biggest stage. You're going to see young coaches, former players, and kids coming up in the game looking at this and saying, that path is possible. From Jackson State to Colorado to Dallas, that's a pipeline nobody predicted a few years ago, and it could inspire a whole wave of new thinking about who gets opportunities to lead at the highest levels. Of course, with any move this big, the critics are already talking. Some will say this is a pure publicity stunt, that Jerry just wants headlines, that Deion hasn't paid his dues in the NFL assistant ranks. Others will say he's more show than substance, that his college record doesn't justify this kind of leap. Those voices are going to be loud. But here's the thing, the NFL is a results business. If Deion wins games, if the Cowboys look sharper, tougher, more resilient in big moments, all of that noise disappears. If they don't, if the same old problems show up, penalties, late-game collapses, playoff no-shows, then the experiment will be labeled a failure and people will say, told you so. That's the tightrope. That's the risk both Deion and Jerry are taking. Now, from Deion's perspective, this is legacy-defining stuff. He's already a Hall of Famer. He's already one of the most iconic athletes ever. But becoming a successful NFL head coach and doing it for the Dallas Cowboys, that elevates him into a whole different conversation. Player-coach legends are rare. If he can turn this franchise around and get them deep into the playoffs, maybe even back to a Super Bowl, you're talking about a multi-chapter legend. Prime Time the player, Coach Prime the program builder, and now Coach Prime the NFL franchise leader. That's the kind of opportunity that only comes around once, and it explains why he would leave the security and control of the college game for the pressure cooker that is the NFL. In terms of expectations, here's the reality. Year one is going to be chaotic, exciting, and heavily scrutinized. Don't be surprised if there are rough patches. New systems, new staff, new culture, it doesn't all click overnight. There might be high highs and low lows, but you're going to see signs early on. Are players buying in? Are they playing with energy, discipline, and confidence? Is the team resilient after mistakes, or do they crumble like in years past? Those are the indicators you look for even before the record fully reflects the change. If the Cowboys show that mental toughness that has been missing, you'll know Deion's impact is taking root. Ultimately, this move is exactly what it looks like. A bold, risky, headline-dominating bet that star power, leadership, and culture can unlock a talented but underachieving roster. It could end in fireworks and parades, or it could crash and burn. But one thing is guaranteed, the Dallas Cowboys just became the most fascinating storyline in the NFL, and every single week is now appointment viewing. So, I want to hear from you. Do you think Deion Sanders will succeed as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys? Is this the move that finally gets them back to the Super Bowl, or is it an over-the-top gamble that's going to blow up in their faces? Drop your thoughts, predictions, and hot takes down in the comments. If you made it this far into the video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates as this story unfolds. From staff hires, to roster changes, to training camp and beyond. This is going to be one of the wildest rides we've ever seen in the NFL, and we're going to be covering every step of it right here. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.